Hey, welcome to the second episode of EHS Concepts, The Ways of Safety, the podcast where we talk about serious business of safety with a smile, some laughter, and relatable stories. I'm your host, Ryan. I will be your Jiminy Cricket, a seasoned EHS professional who's seen it all, so I encourage you all to listen to me, or you're most likely to be a jackass. So, I became safety aware as a young kid. From my dad having multiple issues with ladders, I was 4 or 5 when my dad had climbed a ladder, paint our house shirtless, got off blue jeans. It's maybe I'm not even gonna tell a year, but he went up. He had the wire hanger around the bucket, put it on the ladder, and he swiftly came back down. And he was speaking a language that is well known to sailors. The gallon of paint hit the ground, it bounced off all over Dad. Mom was laughing, I was crying. I thought Dad had been hurt. He was just bruised. Ego really, and he needed a shower. And there may be many stories to come in this podcast with mishaps, not just with my father. There are many though, but many others over the years. So a little bit about me. After high school and some college, I entered the Navy, served aboard submarines and aircraft carriers, and being a part of the ship's training team, we're doing a lot of drills. We did a lot of learning the safety protocols, firefighting, repelling boarders, mass casualty drills. There's so many drills, so many more to even to go over. And that made me choose to seek an education in occupational safety and health. And, I've been through a gaggle, I love that word, gaggle of OSHA courses. Of course, I've been through FEMA courses. I've done the NCCER courses, several hazmat style courses, both construction and industrial to include maritime. All the way up to a master's degree in occupational safety and health. With all that, it led me to write my book, Integrated Safety Excellence, a Lean Approach, a guide for EHS professionals, C-suite executives, and CEOs alike. And so let's talk a little bit about EHS Concepts. So with EHS Concepts, it's being able to have that leadership style of dialogue to connect and be as quick and simple and clarity of action. Because, many organizations have a solid strategy for an excellent safety or EHS program, complete with policies and training and the signage and, all that fanfare, if you will, of all the safety programs that get launched. However, they often lack the right culture to implement the program effectively. It's much like constructing a multi-story building. You got the walls, you got the floors, you got the windows, you got the doors, but you didn't put any stairs or an elevator in. So you have the structure, but without the stairs and elevator, you can't even reach the top. So therefore, both culture and strategy are essential for the success in EHS, everything we do. So let's go over a few key points that differ that I'd like to talk about from the military side that I came from to the civilian side of EHS and the concepts, the training, and more. The first thing that always comes to mind is hierarchy and command structure. In the military, safety practices are strictly enforced through a clear chain of command. Orders and protocols are followed without question, and there's a strong emphasis on discipline and adherence to procedures. Now let's contrast that. Civilian life. Its safety practices are often more flexible. They're more collaborative. The employees are often encouraged to provide the feedback, participate in the safety planning, decision making, and process. Any nothing in the military, you ask them a question about how to input. No, you don't. You don't get that input. It doesn't happen. So another key difference is the training and the preparedness. In the military, you have extensive and rigorous training that's provided to ensure that all personnel are are prepped for a wide range of scenarios. Contingency plan. This fails, let's do this. This fails, let's do that. A lot of redundant backup systems, but also including combat and emergency situations. The training is continuous and it's mandatory. Period. Let's contrast that. Well, in the civilian world, the training may vary depending on the industry, the company. While some industries may have comprehensive safety training programs, others have less stringent requirements. Like, hey, that's what we got. Here's here's some paper, and let's take a quick test, and you're good to go. you know, but another key difference between military and safety and military EHS concepts and civilian EHS concepts is the risk tolerance and the management. So in the military, there is a higher tolerance for risk due to the nature of the military ops. I mean, safety practices are designed to mitigate risk in high stress and high danger environments. Contrast that to the civilian world, there is generally a lower tolerance for risk. Safety practices are focused on preventing incidences and ensuring a safe working environment for all. Back to the military. Let's talk about communication. It's direct, it's clear, it often involves a strict protocol. Information must be conveyed quickly and accurately to ensure that orders are followed precisely. Again, let's contrast that to the civilian side. Communication may be more inclusive, empathetic, which is needed, with an emphasis on ensuring that all employees feel heard, validated. This can sometimes result in more drawn out and context building communication, which a lot of people run into that frustration, and that makes a downfall in some of the EHS procedures, policies, and the goals of the company. Um, Again, let's do a contrast compare standards and regulations. So the military, anybody that served, know that safety practices are governed by the military regulations and standards. UCMJ, for example, which may differ significantly from civilian regulations. So the standards in the military are often more stringent due to that high risk nature of military ops and operations. This is how it is. And then again, contrast that civilian. The safety practices are governed by industry-specific regulations and standards, which are designed to protect the employees and, of course, ensure a safe working environment. These differences reflect the unique challenges and requirements of military and civilian environments. Understanding these distinctions can help improve safety practices, and, of course, it'll foster a better collaboration between military and civilian sectors if you're in that field. Contrast that in, let's say, the civilian industries. It can be a nightmare sometimes of the hunt of who to blame, who is in charge, who is responsible. And usually the EHS and the safety team takes the brunt or the blame for all these incidents that take place, which, if you're in that environment, it's kind of a toxic place if you work in one of those places. As we've heard, it's been stated, it's been put everywhere. Safety is everyone's responsibility. You may even see in a mirror who's responsible for your safety, and it says you are. So, if the ownership seems iffy on who owns safety or who's supposed to be in charge of this in a lot of the places. And with that, I have to plug my book. I'm sorry, it's a shameless plug. I have to talk about my book. Here's some highlights. What I like to do as an approach to any organization, doesn't matter. I'll give you some examples at the end of this. We'll talk about how you can use certain things in certain industries that help it excel in their EHS policies, procedures, and their concepts. EHS concepts. This is the way of safety. The ways of safety. So, first and foremost is with the integrated safety excellence using a lean approach, the foundations of safety leadership. So, the book explores the evolution of safety leadership. It emphasizes the role of emotional intelligence, the power of purpose-driven impact, and the importance of leading by example. It's a big thing. Safety is portrayed not just as a set of rules. We always get in that trap. These are the rules. But in the book, I portray it as a way to inspire hearts and minds. Because without that inspiration, you don't have the buy-in. And no one comes to work to get hurt. I've said that in the last episode. No one comes to work to get hurt, and no one wants to be hurt. No one wants anybody else to get hurt. I mean, there might be some individuals you want hurt, but we really don't want that. So, and furthermore, in the book, I talk about the behavior-based safety and actually reimagined. I try to take the lean BBS principles and shift them from our reactive safety practices to proactive improvement. And I do this with the case studies, some practical examples. Um, even the book, I demonstrate how lean tools can systematically address safety challenges, because there's always challenges in safety. Again, culture versus safety, or versus strategy. Sorry. So I will talk more about that later too. The culture versus strategy, and how you have that. The Lean Sigma connection. Again, for military, we did a lot of Six Sigma, and so this book highlights the convergence of Lean and Six Sigma methodologies. It leverages the data analytics, the process optimization, the evidence-based solutions to enhance safety outcomes, and the integration of Lean and Six Sigma is also shown how to drive meaningful change. Uh, that's the only way you're going to change is if it's meaningful. Um, Integrated safety systems is another thing that's in there. Safety is presented as an integral part of an organizational process. The book explores how EHS processes can be woven into a unified framework. With any legislative changes that come, technology adoption such as the use of AI, and real-time insights playing pivotal roles. Um, and it's explained in easy terms. Some stories are highlighted in there, this, that, and the other, and how things came to be. Some 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 ideas that happen, of, oh, I didn't know this, and now I do, and I wish I would have known it before someone got hurt. So, and then also I go into developing the next gen safety leaders, because I think there's an importance of nurturing the next generation of safety leaders, EHS leaders, traits such as the adaptability and accountability, and of course, lifelong learning. They're all highlighted in the book, because I encourage innovation, I encourage mentorship, and I encourage purposeful impact. Sometimes we make an impact in EHS world, but it's not purposeful. It doesn't really have. It has a comes at a place of justifying your job, and I don't like that. I like being able to be meaningful. I like being able to have that mentorship ability and be able to talk through things, and sometimes letting the answers come from those individuals, because then they understand it. They're not just regurgitating something out of a book, but they're, at least they understand it, and it's coming from a place of meaning. So, and that matters the most. Um, I think what I've discussed, the insights so far, they reflect the comprehensive approach that I take in integrating lean principles with safety practices to create a culture of excellence and a continuous improvement in safety management. Um, you know, a lot of EHS professionals get asked, how do you approach integrating safety practices into existing workflows? And I'm going to go in that, and I'm also going to give you some examples of that successful implementation. Yeah, sometimes I talk too fast and I need to slow down, take a sip. That's not aviation gin. Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, I think the first things that you need to do is the assessment and analysis. It's a big part of what you need to do. You got to begin by conducting a thorough assessment of the current workflows, identifying potential safety hazards. This involves, gathering the data, analyzing incident reports, engaging with the employees to understand their concerns and experiences. You have a vast array of people, and people are a solution to figure out assessments of what is hazardous in the workplace. Doesn't matter what industry. Every industry has the same thing. Talk to the people. A lot of people understand what's safe and what is unsafe. Or, hey, we need this procedure to do this type of work. We don't have that. There it is. so assessment and analysis, number one. My number two, if I have a list, is lean principles application. I think you need to apply lean principles to streamline processes and eliminate waste. This includes those identify 9 non-value added activities, and also find ways to optimize your workflow. Such as cleaning as you work. That end of the day cleanup sometimes isn't the best thing to look forward to at the end of the day. And some people just say, I'm out. And then, either the next shift or the next morning, you got to deal with it, or it just compounds and it gets worse and worse and worse. So, again, let's identify those non-value added activities and find ways to optimize the workflow. Use lean tools such as the 5S, the sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain, and of course, Kaizen, continuous improvement. They are particularly useful in this phase of applying lean principles. Then my number third, if you will, or number third. What the heck? Anyway, I'm human. Okay, integration of safety protocols. To me, this step is I mean, you got to have it. I mean, it needs to be after the first two, of course, but you got to integrate the safety protocols in an optimized workflow. Now, this involves embedding safety checks, the procedures, the controls at critical points in the process. The goal is to make safety an integral part of the workflow rather than an add-on as it's treated everywhere. Let me say that again. It needs to be integrated into the workflow rather than added on, placed upon, built on. It needs to be part of it, not additional. That's where a lot of us go wrong. So after that one, it's the training. Oh my God, you didn't just say training first. So training and engagement. You got to provide comprehensive training to employees on the new safety integrated workflows, whatever it may be. You got to engage with them, engage with employees. I know it's so hard to talk to employees sometimes, right? No, it's not. Everybody's human. So engage with employees in the process by encouraging their feedback and, of course, their participation in safety initiatives. This helps to foster a culture of safety, ensures that everyone is committed to maintain a safe working environment. This includes you, CEO. This includes you, VP. This includes you, C-suite executive. This includes anybody in the leadership and management who actually see someone that needs course corrected and say something instead of overlooking and walking by like you didn't see it and then running the EHS and saying, hey, Tom's out there without safety glasses on. Why didn't you take the approach of saying, hey, let me engage with the employee and say, hey, where's your safety glasses? I don't know if I talked about it in the first episode, but I was actually on a job site. The guy was getting ready to cut in a 3-inch tube, and I said, hey, are you the guy with the ugly wife on the job site? And he was like, what? Not ready to, throw some hands? And I said, well, you're the only one out here risking his eyesight, so it has to be you. I mean, and of course, there's his safety glasses right here. There's his face shield right here. And, he starts grinning a little bit, puts them on, looks at me like I'm crazy, which I may be. But anyway, he, from then on, I'll be on the job site. He would scream, my wife is not ugly, and he'd have his PPE on like he should, And did I ever read him ANSI? Did I have to talk about OSHA? Do the Riot Act? Did I have to do chapter and verse? I'm supposed to know it. EHS professionals have to know chapter and verse, but you don't have to beat somebody over the head about it. And that's, again, it's the engagement, right? It is engaging and fostering that culture of safety, okay? That's what we need. It helps foster that culture of safety. It ensures that everyone is committed to maintaining a safe work environment. And, of course, you can razz each other a little bit about it. So I like being fun. I think having conversations even about environmental health and safety can be fun. Of course, then where a lot of people, I say a lot of people, a lot of corporations, a lot of industries, this is where things don't happen and should. It's the continuous monitoring and improvement. I didn't say monitoring and improvement. I said continuous monitoring. Can't talk today. And improvement. But that's my problem all the time. I talk too fast for my brain or something. Or my brain's too fast for my mouth. I don't know. It's something, okay? But anyway, you need to implement a system for continuous monitoring and improvement. This involves regularly reviewing safety performance, conducting audits, yay, and making necessary adjustments to the workflow. Lean tools such as PDCA, the plan, do, check, act cycles are effective for this purpose. There's a lot of lacking, if you will, the plan, do, check, act cycle. A lot of people plan and do, but they don't check, and sometimes they act, but sometimes they don't check and act. Anyway, it gets all muddled around where they actually don't do the full thing. And if you're not doing the full thing, you're missing out, and things go awry. So let me give you some examples of the successful implementation. So in the manufacturing industry, I know it quite well, but in a manufacturing plant, the integration of safety practices involved the use of 5S to organize the workplace and eliminate hazards. So safety protocols were embedded into the production process, and employees were trained on the importance of maintaining a clean and organized workspace. Very, very, very important. And then as a result, the plant saw a significant reduction in workplace incidences and an increase in overall productivity. Just in the manufacturing, using 5S. I mean, that's now it's 6S. So, but we'll get into that in another episode. Healthcare sector, you wouldn't think, but yes, healthcare sector. In a hospital setting, Lean principles were applied to streamline patient care processes. The safety protocols were integrated into the workflow, such as standardized hand hygiene practices and use of checklists to ensure compliance with safety procedures. This led to a reduction in healthcare-associated infections and improved patient outcomes. We all love that, right? So, construction industry, just trying to pull some things out here. On a construction site, the integration of safety practices involved the use of Kaizen. Continue to improve safety measures. Regular safety meetings were held to discuss potential hazards, implement corrective actions, and then safety protocols were embedded in the daily routines of the workers. What did it do? It resulted in decreased incidents and injuries on the site. Toolbox talks, the safety talks, talking about actions that you do. You have new hired people that are getting on-the-job training. A lot of them don't understand some of the safety protocols that, someone that's been there 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, you never know. They don't understand some of these concepts, or they weren't hands-on trained properly in the safety of those concepts. Like, hey, that's how you actually do this job safely. Instead of, yeah, we need that done, and then we're going to get it done. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. Or am I? No. So, anyway, by following these steps and leveraging Lean principles, organizations can successfully integrate safety practices in their existing workflows, leading to a safer and more efficient working environment. So, a lot of EHS professionals get asked this question, and it comes up in conversations, whether I'm talking to a C-suite executive or VP or even a CEO. How do you see, or what role do you see effective safety leadership playing in driving continuous improvement within organizations? And this is my, again, I don't know, top 5 or 4. I don't know how many it's going to be. But this is, to me, the start off. This is the jump off point that you need to understand. Whether you are, even in any kind of leadership position, even junior leadership position, you still got to do these key factors. You have to. You got to set the standard. So effective safety leaders, effective EHS leaders, set the standard for safety behaviors and attitudes within the organization by demonstrating a genuine commitment to safety. They're going to inspire employees to prioritize safety in their daily activities. Okay, then you're going to encourage open communication. Safety leaders have to foster an environment where an open communication about safety concerns and incidents is encouraged. This transparency allows for identification of potential hazards. Again, talk to the people who work there. And the implementation of the corrective actions before incidents can occur is a big thing. But you got to be able to talk to them. You got to have that open communication. You've got to be able to talk to anybody and everybody and have that conversation. Okay? And then the biggest they're all big, but promote shared responsibility. I think a lot of people don't have that. So effective safety leadership promotes a sense of shared responsibility for the workplace safety among all employees. When everybody feels accountable, like when everyone feels accountable for maintaining a safety environment, it leads to a more productive approach to safety, because it's not just it's no. You are accountable for your safety and the safety of others around you and the environment around you, whether working environment or even environment in general. Let's save the planet. Um, but you got to have that. You got to have that effective safety leadership. You got to have it. Um, Again, it goes back to, if you're a VP or anybody walking around and see somebody, the last line of defense is PPE, but it's always the first one to not be implemented. Crazy, right? So, continuous improvement mindset. Safety leaders need to instill a continuous improvement mindset within the organization. You got to strive for that ongoing advancement in safety and performance by, regularly reviewing and updating safety policies, the procedures, the training programs. You got to have that communication, that discussion. Sometimes your training gets outdated and it's redundant. Can you take it out? Can you make this better? Can we streamline this better? Are we just going to stick everybody in front of a computer all day and have the brain melt, and then not be able to interact with a human being and talk about, hey, is this properly how I actually operate a forklift, or is this how I, weld this correctly? Is this the right lens that I got? There's so much that goes on that if you're not in a teacher trainer kind of training for safety or any of the processes, whether it be, a lead or anybody else out there training, you really got to have that. Again, you got to continuously improve what you're doing. That's how it is. And I think the next one is also sometimes missed by organizations, and they empower employees. By empowering employees to take ownership of safety initiatives, leaders create a culture where safety is integrated into every aspect of the organization. This empowerment leads to increased engagement and a stronger commitment to safety. And of course, you got to lead by examples. Effective safety leaders and leadership lead by example. You got to demonstrate safe behaviors, practices, your own actions. It sets a powerful precedent for employees to follow and reinforce, the importance of safety in the workplace. Talked a lot of different concepts in this episode. I'm going to break down a lot of different concepts in the upcoming. But I want to thank you all for watching. More podcasts to come with guest interviews, EHS concepts discussions, and be on the lookout for some tidbits. There may be some shorts here and there of disaster tales, some health hacks, in the workplace, some safety superheroes, maybe some history of some of this stuff, and then my favorite, EHS mythbusters, busting some of those, EHS myths that are out there that aren't really true. Of this is what OSHA says, or this is what so and so says, what the EPA says, what the DOT says. There's a lot of some myths out there that need to be busted, and I plan on having that in some segments for you. Maybe some some hilarious things that to go over. But with that, have a great day, night, morning, afternoon. You know what? Have the day you deserve. I'm out. See you on the next one. Thank you. Have a great day.